Here at the Dub Network and Suds with Luds, we'd like to thank our partner, Early Bird. Early Bird gummies are a recreational hemp product which has 2.5 milligrams of natural THC and 12.5 milligrams of CBD. Great for taking the edge off after a hard day. For me personally, I don't sleep well. It helps me get a great night's sleep, 6 to 8 hours. It's a great way to relax. And if you use the word Suds, you'll get 20% off your first order. Welcome to another episode of Suds with Luds on the Dub Network. Today they're already giggling in here. This is a special kind of show.
We haven't started drinking, I promise.
I doubt that.
I'm sober, I swear.
I don't even have to introduce them now. I think everybody knows who the hell they are. There's a show called The Family Affair. It's like from the 70s, Eddie. You may remember it. But anyway, this is a family event. I did a show.
You mean that 70s show?
Not that 70s show, a different show, but something similar.
I love that show.
We're off track already.
They're in the basement just like this.
Yeah, this is going to be a train wreck today. This is perfect. So I was just saying, like last week I had Brad Lukowicz and his wife Kara in here, and we were talking about process concussions and things like that. And I had Stephen Johns in here and that kind of stuff also. And I've kind of, it's supposed to be hockey, I think it is. But now when we're transitioning kind of into the family stuff. And so you guys fit right into this thing. And I kind of...
Well, along with the Sioux jersey.
That's the kicker today, right? Everybody, we know that the head is taboo now.
It's coming back.
But this goes back a long ways. I mean, this is not new. The Chicago Blackhawk for you, fighting Sioux, right? So, anyway...
that was our head.
What's that?
That was our head.
I know.
The original.
That's why he's wearing it, Dan.
And our head was on a platter a few times, too.
Beautiful.
Yeah. We... you can laugh at this show, Dane. You can say whatever you'd like.
I'm not going to get yelled at here. This is going to be hilarious. If you want to let the red dragon out.
I usually do.
Hey, this is the safe zone, Dane.
See, what generally happens, and this is happening quicker than normal, is it starts out kind of with the Dr. Phil episode, and it turned into Jerry Springer. And we're there. So anyways, if you don't know by now, we've got the Belfours on here. We have the Belfour family. And we'll start with the son. To my left is Dane Belfour. Welcome.
Thank you, bud.
Your sister, your father's daughter, Reagan.
Hello.
Who is probably the glue to this clan.
I would agree with that.
And then
the last, between them.
I would say you're in the middle where you're supposed to be. And then there, with no introduction here, Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup winner, apparently cast in Peaky Blinders, is Ed Belfour. You're starting to sport those hats now, Eddie. I see everywhere with these things. This is his thing, right? This is your thing. Well, welcome, guys and girls. It's not really a hockey program. I mean, this is more about what you guys are doing as a family now. But I said to you earlier, in your career, Ed, you weren't drafted. Apparently, you didn't start out as a goalie. You were forward, and then there were speed bumps along the way. Dane, you had speed bumps too, like hockey-wise. And the word that came up to me, I was telling this earlier, is perseverance. I mean, from the standpoint of our careers, I'm sure there's same thing in your business that you guys have that's growing now. Just, Eddie, start with the reason I'm wearing this jersey. We don't have to go back to your junior days and Carmen and everything else. Start with the University of North Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, the words "no quit" are usually...
You remember those, don't you?
Right. I mean, the culture that we had with the University of North Dakota fighting Sioux, Gino and John Marks and Dean Blaze and Kerry Eads, those guys, they drove that into us every day of practice on and off the ice, and it led to 40 wins, 8 losses for us in the NCAA championship. So every time I go back there, I get goosebumps. And, I'm still on a thread with my 86, 87 team. I think there's 20 of us on the thread, and we keep in touch with one another. Our team was very close-knit, as yours is too. And I think all the teams are like that played for the Sioux. I've met guys that played back in the 40s, and those guys, that are still alive, they still talk to one another. They still come out to the events, and it's just so great to see, that family environment. And it means a lot to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
we're having some special events coming up here in a few weeks, honoring myself and your team. So
Yeah.
they do a lot of that stuff every weekend, and fans love it. The players, I know for myself, it's very emotional and very proud moments. And what they've done with the locker room down below is amazing nowadays. Ralph Engelstad, I was fortunate enough to be there in '99 when we did the groundbreaking ceremony with Ralph, and some of the other folks was there. I think Tom Clifford and Dean Blaze, and got the shovels out and had the Stanley Cup sitting there on the ground and the McNaughton Cup. So huge culture, love it, love going back there, and just it's a great feeling.
I want to, and I'm not going to you on purpose because I want to save you for the last part of this conversation here, Reagan. It's I know I had intentions of starting with Reagan on this whole thing, but everything I start with, it always gets sidetracked.
Just throw it out the window.
Yeah, I let it go. Dane,
Yeah.
similar with you then? Like, you were at UNO, right? College-wise, goaltender and things like that. You followed in those footsteps.
Yeah, UNO was a great place to play. It was in the transition, I would say, from developing more an undeniable culture. Again, Dean Blaze was there as my coach, and he did a lot of great things for the culture of UNO hockey. He helped gather a whole bunch of support within the community and built an awesome new rink. I think it seats about 7,500, so it's a total college bowl. I mean, it's got that intense atmosphere, and now after I've gone, my time has been done and gone there. I find that they finally put beds and kitchens and all this other stuff, and they're letting the players sleep at the rink. And I'm like, well, shit, that's what I've been asking for my whole life.
You were probably sleeping at the rink anyways. That way you're not late for practice the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't need a bed.
I honestly, if I had stayed at the rink 25/8, it would have been so much better because I would have been just there, and I knew if I was out having fun, dancing around, chasing tail, I was going to get in trouble. And I mean, who can't get in trouble when you're playing hockey and you're running around having fun the time of your life? So
I can't believe your sister's sitting next to you and you say chasing tail.
she's a woman.
That's probably like the least offensive thing to say.
Yeah, I would say.
She's a hockey gal. She's not a little bitch or anything.
Did you?
I mean,
Oh, there we go already. Chasing tail and she's a little bitch. She's not a little
She's
bitch.
not.
she's
No,
not.
no.
No. My
Okay,
sister's
so Dane,
tough.
you're done now.
No.
You're done. You can leave.
I
Your
can't
part of
say
the
that.
show's over.
Time
You
out.
can
Okay,
go.
so I thought you said-
We'll come back and we'll get to the
Thought you
liquor
said
side
this
of
was
things.
safe space.
Okay, so Reagan. Well, they're
You know, like on the
I said you're not.
You know how, like in The Bachelor and the reality shows, how they put like your tagline? It's like Reagan, age 30, not a little bit.
Not a little bitch. She's not. She played rugby. She's tough, man. I'm proud
That's
of
what I
my
was
sister.
asking. Sports-wise for you, was there a culture thing sports-wise for you, or did it come?
Well, so I didn't grow up playing a sport, from the time I was little till like how they were. So I was more musical. My interests were much more in that way. So I played piano, took piano lessons, things like that. I always sang. Our mom's side of the family is very musical, so we got that. Sorry, Dad. Dad's talent is playing the cowbell and the triangle.
Sorry, Dad.
Stomp fiddle?
He can keep rhythm.
Yeah.
He can keep rhythm.
Dad's
so
good at hitting
I can hum.
things.
yeah, he can hum.
I've seen him try to keep rhythm a few times as we were teammates after the games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he can play the triangle and the cowbell. That's what we've assigned him. But Dane can play guitar. We both sing. I play piano a little bit. So I wasn't really into the
You
whole
can belt. You can
sports
sing.
world as much as these two, obviously. But when we lived in Toronto, obviously Canada's sports scene is very different than the U.S. sports scene. So in my high school, which was I lived in Toronto, so it was a large high school. It was about 2,000 kids probably in that high school. And rugby was like a normal girls' high school sport.
Yeah.
So my freshman year, well, up there we say grade 9.
Grade
But
9.
in grade 9, everyone was like, hey, do you want to try out for the rugby team? We're like, okay. so we did it. And but it was a ton of girls on our team. Like, it was a huge team.
Yeah.
And so
You
it was
didn't have
really
any guys on the team?
well, there's a guys team and there's a girls
Oh.
team. So
No co-ed.
obviously we got to keep that separate. But
Not anymore.
Our girls team, well,
Now they're all
we're not getting into that.
playing together.
We're not getting into that.
I mean,
but our
Where's
so this
this
is
world?
a safe space.
Not anymore.
You shouldn't have said that. But anyway, so our girls' team was actually had better records than our guys' team.
Hell
did.
yeah,
so
Riggs.
It was kind of funny how that turned out. But no, it was really fun. But I only played for 2 years because I was there grade 9 and 10, and then halfway through grade 11, that was the year that Dad retired. He was living in Sweden the year before. So I was with my mom up in Toronto, and then he just moved back to Texas. And I was kind of like, I'm kind of just over living in Toronto, taking the subway to school every day in like, Arctic tundra and slushy streets, and my Ugg boots are soaked through. And so
no, the Ugg boots.
No one from the South understands a soaked Ugg boot.
God, that's awful.
It is disgusting. We had like crystallized from the salt,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it looked.
Yeah.
Gross.
But so I moved in with Dad halfway through my grade 11 year. So it was the spring sports. So I didn't get my,
Were you still playing at that time?
No, that's when
You
he
were done.
retired.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a good thing. Okay.
Yeah. So his last year he played in Sweden. That was when I was in grade 10.
Okay.
07, 08.
So when I was in grade 10, he was living in Sweden. I was living with my mom full time in Toronto at that point. They swapped, countries. She lives up there now. He lives down here. So I moved back in with him that winter break before, in my junior year of high school.
Sure, yeah.
So, and I went from, a school of 2,000 people to a town of like 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, are you so mad at your parents for making you move here? I was like, actually, like, I just got up and left.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of chose to just divert. I went to this, little small town high school, and I loved it. And got to experience Friday Night Lights Texas style for the first time my senior year of high school. So that was super fun. So didn't have rugby in little Texas small town, obviously.
I know.
But they did offer me to play on the boys football team.
That's where I was going
Really?
next.
And I said,
Well, who offered you that? The players?
one of the coaches.
Uh-oh.
Literally, one of the coaches was like, do you want to
We're
play
not
on the
going
team?
there.
And I was like, no, I'm good.
Respectfully decline.
Did
I
you?
don't want to do that.
Did you I think dads, especially when we play, and did you try to push Dane hockey wise, or did they gravitate there? Reagan, did you try, being your daughter, was it a sports thing for you or no?
No, I didn't try to push either one of the kids to sports. Dane just gravitated towards it. Obviously, being at the rink all the time with
I didn't know
the
I was doing
Blackhawks.
anything else other than just doing what my dad did.
Right. All the kids, back then it was open locker room. I don't know if it is anymore, but all the kids are running around all the time.
Yeah.
And, Charlie's kids were there, and Smitty's kids, and Suter's kids. I think there's probably 6 or 7 boys, and I mean they're just playing, floor hockey and goofing around in the locker room all the time. They saw what we were doing, so they all just gravitated towards playing, and of course, the moms had to take care of all the schedule because we were traveling all the time. So hats off to Tracy and Rita and the other moms for
Hockey
looking
moms.
after hockey moms. Going on the road trips. I remember Tracy had that van.
The
all
big
the kids,
GMC with a TV. Yeah, because they had a TV in it.
Right.
And
All
all
the-
the 7 to 9-year-old kids.
That was to keep you guys shut up.
I now understand what that was for.
Yeah, well, but again, it's so true about the moms. I mean, and when we're gone, my kids still give me shit about it. When they were playing balls, well, Dad, you never taught us how to swing a bat. Dad, you never taught. Well, I wasn't there.
Right.
And I had a job. that
moms
kept
are
us
very
away, holidays,
responsible
everything.
for all that, for sure. And with Reagan, Rita's a great singer and always into music and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think Reagan naturally gravitated towards that too, and she has a great voice. So ended up getting a really nice piano when she was little. She doesn't remember it, but we still have that piano.
I argue that to this day. I'm like, you got that piano when we were in Dallas, not Downers Grove, Chicago.
But did you like it?
Oh yeah,
that he did that?
we still have that piano.
I mean, did
But-
you want to play piano
Oh,
when
yeah.
he got it for you? Did.
Well, so the reason that I remember that piano being in Dallas was because it's one of those player pianos that you put the CD in, back when CDs existed, and so you put the CD in. And the piano would play. Yeah. And so I remember in the Capel house, you had the piano turned around, and we walked in, and he pretended
I thought he was playing.
Yeah.
But the CD was on, so that's why I'm like, I have a core memory of that being in the Capel house.
Well, no, it was there for
not
sure.
in our
but
Downers Grove.
it started out in Downers Grove.
I was
when
going to
you
say, were there
little.
any times you woke up underneath that piano?
Oh, a few times.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Had the,
well, that's
had the Stanley Cup sitting on
Yeah.
top of it.
Well, that one's a baby grand, so it had the whole, like open side.
Yeah.
So then later, Mom got an upright Yamaha piano, and that one's really beautiful too, but different. But yeah, so we
you know,
always
I
had.
want to brag on her a little bit. So I went to one of her.
Well, wait, now, what's your title for this company?
COO.
Go ahead, brag.
I would say boss ass.
So
face.
in Toronto, this is my first time going to one of her theater events, and all the other kids were mic'd up.
Oh yeah, that's why I was like, I don't even need this thing.
Right, and Reagan was not mic'd up, and her voice was so much
It was
louder.
booming?
Yeah.
Yeah, just amazing
belting.
voice. So
yeah.
Yeah, that was 8th grade. We did Hairspray, so it was super.
You were the
super fun.
The
I was the villain.
The villain. Yeah.
I was the villain.
Of course, you were the villain. Yeah.
Hey, the villain's more fun to play.
What's the difference between
It comes more
villain
natural.
and a super
yeah.
villain?
Yeah, what's the difference between a villain and a supervillain? Presentation.
love it.
This sibling
Yeah.
thing going on right now.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it was super fun.
Let's get to the business. I want to know how this started. Like, I'm assuming your idea or Dane or Ray. How did?
I think originally it
Definitely
was
was not me.
my idea.
By the way, we're here to speak about Belfour spirits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really be clear about
Yeah.
that from the beginning. But if you're,
Yeah, so
if you
this-
happen to be watching, there'd be no doubt. We have 12, 13 bottles of booze sitting in here in
Right.
front of us.
So this whole thing started with Grandma and Grandpa Belfour, and that's where the hat comes in. My Grandpa Belfour always.
What is
wore.
that actually called? Is there a name
I
for
thought
that
a
hat?
newsboy cap.
Yeah,
But isn't there a name for that hat? Is there?
Isn't that a Stetson
We-
dad? Like an old
I don't know.
It's not a chapeau, is it?
I don't think so.
Chapeau is just French for hat.
Stetson.
I know, but isn't there a fancy
No.
chapeau?
I think there's another name for it, but yeah, I go with the newspaper hat or the Peaky
I always
Blinders
just say
hat. That's,
Yeah.
the newsboy
that's easy.
cap.
But Grandma and Grandpa Belfour, we have this beautiful banner of them on their honeymoon. It's 1920. And my grandpa looks exactly like my dad. It's the craziest thing. And I said to Mom one day, I go, Mom, what's Dad doing there with Grandpa or with Grandma, all dressed up? And she's like, no, that's your grandpa. Like they're like twins. And so Dane and I were back home visiting Grandma and Grandpa about 4.5 years ago. This is about halfway. We've been into this for like already 9 years now almost. So 4.5 years ago, we're visiting Mom and Dad, and Mom and Dad know what we're doing and stuff. And they go, Grandma and Grandpa used to make some moonshine on the old Saskatchewan farm.
You guys do look like some people from the Moonshiners, that show, by the way.
Right?
I mean,
so
I can see
that's
this.
coming. That's coming.
Well, that's
Oh, it is.
so
he jumped forward. He's about to jump back.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're
okay,
like,
okay.
There's no way. Like we didn't realize it. So Dad goes, yeah, and here's the sample. He opens up the fridge, pulls out a little sample of the juice from back in the 1920s. So this whole thing goes back to Grandma and Grandpa Belfour, the inspiration of the bottles and getting involved, keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun, and I love seeing that poster of Grandma and Grandpa Belfour. I mean, it just makes me so proud.
But you guys have part of your presentation, don't you? Because you had it in the alumni in our rink,
it's
right?
one of the
that was
roll-up
on
ones.
there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
We saw
there's
that.
a big photo of them.
So, fast forward, I'm finishing my career up. I wanted to get involved in alcohol business during our career, and I looked into it. But
Stick to what we know.
well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah, I
started
know.
drinking, Labatt's Blue and Crown Royal when I was about 12 or 13 back home in Canada.
Oh.
Crown Royal's from Manitoba.
How's your liver looking? You have any liver tests lately?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
All the time.
It's like
Top of the
iron
charts.
lung, I know.
Top of the-
I know. There's some of us are just
Top of the
built
charts
like
in what
that.
way?
What do you mean, man?
So Dane, writes this. I wanted back up just a bit. I wanted to get involved, but the league wouldn't let us. So I
Back
had to
then.
wait till we're done playing. Dane wrote this awesome article at school on the spirits industry. So I read the article and I, Dane, this is really good. So that got my mind kind of going again. Like, hey, maybe we should look into this again. And so we're watching an episode of Moonshiners.
Oh, okay.
And we're sitting there. We used to watch that quite often.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to watch. And then all of a sudden we look at each other like,
Chuck.
hey, we could do this. So that led to us ordering a still the next day.
Can I ask you, interrupt you a second? So this show's on TV, right? How the hell did they never catch these guys?
Okay, so that's
I don't
part
understand
of
it.
the thing, man.
That's what I wondered too.
They're very, very
you know what I'm
sneaky.
I
Hey, they're very, very
we're doing
sneaky.
illegal stuff on
Everybody's
TV and we're
sneaky.
filming it, ladies and gents.
Okay, pick it up. I just want to know if anybody's got an answer for that, why they never get caught. Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to know too.
Everybody's in on it. Isn't it obvious?
Don't the cops watch this show? Can they not tell what part
Hey,
of
it's old school, right?
I don't know.
Everyone gets paid off nowadays, don't they?
Oh, God.
Isn't that how it works?
I didn't say that. You did. So
Anyway.
the Dallas police have been very, very good to us. So-
Anyway, let's not talk
Okay,
about
so
that.
anyway, go ahead. Tell me about the rest
You're
of this.
watching Moonshiners, and
Yeah.
you guys go, "Hey, we can do that."
Yeah, so we ordered the still the next day, and we're so excited. You know, we start
A
researching
little one.
everything.
A little one.
Yeah, a little pot still
5
where you can
gallon.
do all your, experimenting on.
It's like making your own beer. I'm assuming something
Exactly.
similar
That's
to
what
that.
you do first.
Or so they
Okay.
thought.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
so they thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finds out,
So, but-
wait, highly illegal, right? Just like
Yeah.
you said, moonshiners. They're,
Couldn't have
they're
been
thinking,
that illegal.
we're just going to do this in our garage, like for ourselves.
It's just for our own
For
consumption.
fun.
Yeah,
For
sure.
fun. And like we can have for ourselves and share with our friends. Well, Dad's like, wait a second. Is this illegal? And I called him, I'm like, yes, highly illegal. Dad, you're going to get deported to Canada. And like probably the first Canadian to get deported. But yeah, so quickly realized highly illegal. We should probably look into this. And once we started researching it, they're like, you know what? This is actually a really cool industry. And
But you're
so-
not thinking of it as a business at the time,
Well,
right?
no. So that
Small.
was the spark.
Yeah, backyard
So
bar kind of.
that was where Dad and Dane were talking about it, and they were like, if we're gonna do this, mind you, this is after his career's over. Dane just came back from Sweden after an injury, and they're both kind of trying to figure out,
Sure.
what do we do
Where
with
we're
our
going.
lives now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where they started kind of thinking about it, and
What am
they're
I supposed
looking
to do
into
for
it.
the rest of my life?
Dane, guys like us have to figure that out. Hall of Famers don't have to.
What am I supposed to do
It
for the
falls
rest of
at
my
their
life?
feet, these guys,
Oh my
right?
God.
Oh, really?
Well,
I beg
sometimes
differ.
we
Yeah.
trip. But I want to why did you write the article? Like what?
Well, so
Why that?
in college, I
So
started-
you're actually the fuel to this whole thing to kind of start, right? You wouldn't have gone down this road, would you, unless you read that? So
I mean,
then,
it was always in the back of my mind, but I mean, it wasn't at the forefront of like, hey, let's start a whiskey, a bourbon company. But when Dane wrote that article, it definitely sparked my interest, like that Dane had an interest in it.
yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, let's look into it a little bit.
Yeah, I like drinking. I do.
It's like, how do I make a living out of this?
Well, at the time I was a 21-year-old freshman, so I already had a leg up kind of
Experience?
Yeah, than
Yeah.
everyone else,
Yeah.
and as far as drinking, and I'd been living in Canada for the last couple of years, and
And Ed Belfour's your dad.
Ed Belfour's my dad.
It don't
So,
fall far from the tree, right?
I mean, we got like TNT wrapped up in me, man,
Yeah.
and this thing's going to explode. So I was going to school at the time for economics, and that was to day trade commodities. Sit at a desk, sit at a desk and day
Yeah.
trade commodities.
Good
It's
one.
never going to happen. And at the time, two of our alumni guys for Nebraska Omaha owned a nightclub. So after the game,
I have a hard time thinking about Omaha, Nebraska, and calling something a nightclub.
oh well, that's funny.
A
I mean,
nightclub.
you can-
Oh, no, I
we can
went
ask
there.
CJ about
It was a
this.
nightclub.
Yeah.
They had the go-go dancers like
Oh,
up
really?
on the
Oh, yeah.
like,
I've
like
been
the
to Luds.
platforms.
Have you?
It was
yeah.
great.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It was a great time, and I used to be the light guy. So I would go after the games, make a couple $100 running the lights at the club for the DJ, and then I'd stay till 4 or 5 in the morning, help clean up the bar. And at that point, that's when I had the slimmest pickings of whatever. Like I'm looking on the shelf and I'm finding the finest spirits across the boards, and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. And I'm there's the Jack Daniels, there's Crown Royal, there's Glenfiddich, and Levitt. There's some Scotch, and that's what really started me. Kickstarted my heart. Motley Crew style. Pardon me. Was Glenlivet, Fiddick, and Morangi at 18, and then I was like, this is whiskey, and they're like, yeah, this is Scottish whiskey, so you got to try Irish whiskey, and then you got to try Canadian whiskey, and then you got to try American whiskey, and then you got to try Japanese whiskey, and then you got to try. After that, I was like, holy shit, this is just whiskey. And I hadn't even gone on to gin yet, and I hadn't even gone on to cognac or brandy, and I hadn't even gone on to any of these other things. And of course, I I love the different varieties of beer, and craft wine was really exploding at that time. And there was a couple craft brew houses around in Omaha. So a couple of guys started getting into the craft beers, and nothing against Miller High Life, Coors Banquet, or PBR, because those are my 3 old faithful go-tos. But I started getting curious about alcohol and what you could get if you mixed up the combinations of the grains and used the different yeast strains. And I just knew as a commodity that this was the commodity that brought North America out of economic depression from 1918 to 1933, was literally making bourbon and rye whiskey. So, I was like, you mean I can make a whole bunch of booze, which I love drinking, and I love sharing, and I love making art. That's my artisan that I probably get from Dad. That's my artistic value of creation, and I know how to make good booze with the help of my dad and my sister, and I love doing it. And it makes me the happiest when I see everybody warm and fuzzy, and they're all connecting generations at the bar having a drink, and they're telling stories of their life.
And then there's that over the line.
And then there's that
department.
I'm not wearing a parachute.
Does it lead to wrestling?
And Dane's right. Think about what happened during that Prohibition era. The Great Depression happened, 1930-ish. Roosevelt instituted the end of Prohibition, and alcohol was legal again, and the taxes off of alcohol sales helped save the country.
Sure.
So alcohol.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Alcohol.
really proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm in
Bourbon,
this,
rye whiskey, and
Are we just trying
Canada,
to justify our problems?
Canada didn't have that same deal. So all the whiskey that was coming to the U.S. at that time was coming from Canada.
Black Velvet.
Yeah.
So how long were you two going down this road before you hopped in?
While
3, 4?
And did you jump in because you wanted to, or you asked to?
She started right away.
Well,
she was
let
just
me-
behind
let me
the scenes.
speak, Dad.
I got to tell the
Dad, be
funny
quiet.
story though
Behind the
first.
scenes.
I got to tell the funny story.
Okay, what's the funny story?
Okay, so we decided to do this.
I don't even know what this funny.
When do we open these, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Can you open one of
Yeah.
these while Dad's
Yeah.
talking?
Go ahead.
We'll
So-
start with the pecan.
The funny story about this is,
Said we.
so we decided to do this. We ordered the still. We're going to start researching. Now,
That's always a beautiful
my
sound.
research started, like I
Oh,
said, when
this story.
I was 12 or 13. I had my first.
That
sip-
was on the job research at 12 when you were
Yeah.
sneaking a little
No,
snort
no,
here and there.
listen.
He knew what he was doing.
I was with my dad at the Christmas party when I was 12 years old, and everybody's drinking whiskey, and Dad said, "Hey, you want a little sip?"
I'm good.
Yeah,
And I'm
I
like-
think all our dads did that.
Right. So I
Yeah.
had a little sip of it was, if I remember right, it was Canadian Club.
Luds, you want a little sip?
And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I had been drinking beer already a little bit here and
Yeah.
there. Sneak downstairs, Dad's fridge, and have a beer.
Throw the
Nice-
cans in the ditch so they didn't know. And, or
Well, back then
replace
they didn't
the
have
can.
cans. They had bottles.
Oh, okay.
Everything was bottles.
Okay.
And then
The old
next-
school bottles.
The next day,
So we decided, hey, we need to do a little
Now,
research.
all three of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dane and I go to the liquor store, and we buy about 40 different brands of bourbon and rye whiskey. So we're going to start about 11 a.m. Saturday morning, and Reagan's going to take notes.
it's a great idea.
no
Well,
way.
first of all, it wasn't all three of us. I got roped in because it was.
Okay,
we need you to take notes because we're
thought-
going to be drinking it.
I was going to say, I thought you designated driver.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
No, so
Designated
this was all.
everything.
This was all at home.
Designated note taker.
This was all at home, and so they go and buy 30 bottles, and so
Thank God
the
we
funny
had the
part is
ranch.
I'm not drinking, I'm taking notes. So I'm sitting here, writing down what they're saying. So the first beginning of the day, the notes are like,
Well, hold on. Let me stop you right there. So the
Can't even get a word in.
these competitions, okay?
You know he never used to be like this.
oh,
He
we
hated-
know.
Did he used
we're
to be
gonna come
quiet?
down this road. No, he was the last guy to ever want to talk to a reporter. He wouldn't speak to anybody. Now he's out everywhere.
It was
You're-
focused on winning.
Okay, go ahead.
So
Dane and I will just
the
drink.
judges at all these competitions, okay, they sip it and then spit it out. They don't swallow it like what you just did.
That was gagged. That wasn't swallowed.
Well-
That's hot to
It's
me.
46% Luds.
I
It's
don't-
92
I
proof.
know,
So
but
it's
this is an acquired thing.
it is an
is.
acquired thing. If
And
you
By
you
the
don't-
time we're done
hey,
here, I'll be.
and
you
you're
don't-
not, and you're not a whiskey.
and you don't
drinker.
gulp
You're
it.
not a whiskey
not a big
drinker.
one.
Don't gulp it.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, Dad. Go ahead.
they all spit it out.
You
And-
turn the
and-
air conditioning on in here.
and-
It's getting warm in here.
And you're not supposed to. I'm traditionalist. you're supposed to swallow the beautiful bourbon or rye whiskey that you're drinking, not swish around and spit it out. But these guys are tasting, like 40, 50 samples a day. They want to be hammered by halfway
We
through.
didn't know that.
So we're like, well, we're not spitting it out. We want to get the true flavor.
Yeah, it's
right.
part
Well,
of the
you do
finish.
get the finish when you actually drink it versus
Yeah.
spitting it out. So it does matter. But when you're trying to do that, then you don't taste 30 of them.
Yeah, you only do like a
So
couple.
that's why, like at those judging competitions, they have to spit
So
it out.
one thing led to another, and at 2:00 in the afternoon.
So
Dana and I
let
are
me
like,
step
"What?"
back in here because you keep interrupting me.
my God.
sorry.
So
The Gonzarowski just came out
Yeah.
of here.
I know she's booting him under the
little
table.
boot.
So they're starting the day, and the notes are great. They're like, listing off all these flavors, all these scents, everything they're feeling. The notes are
Does
like
get
this.
better.
Oh, yeah.
The notes are this long for the whiskey that they're tasting. By the end of it, it was good,
Nice.
nice,
So sweet.
sweet, hot, spicy.
Great.
They turned into cavemen.
Are you writing these words
I'm
down?
like writing them down. So as I'm saying, you could see the beginning where like the notes are this long for each one, and they kept dwindling down and down and down.
Now, how many years ago was this?
Oh, this was like 9 years ago. It was the
Okay.
very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but it was just hilarious because the day started with like, so much intention and everything was, detailed and
Oh, back to
organized.
that extreme,
Yeah.
perseverance.
The-
Like, we're serious now.
Yeah.
You should have seen how serious it was before we had the first.
Well, I know him as serious.
yes,
Right.
he's
You
know,
very serious.
Yeah, and I can see. Are you as serious in this business? Do you think, or do you kind of stand back and oversee what they're doing? I know you're involved. I know
It's
that, but
it's both. Like there's
Is it?
Is it
Is it
both?
both?
There,
It is both?
It is because
It
there's.
could be both.
Hey, when I played goal, did I tell Mo what to do?
no. But you
No,
told me what
'cause
to
I was
do.
going to say you probably just.
because Mo knew what he was doing.
Right, I did.
God, that's real nice.
You're right.
man.
Right. So there's areas.
Hey, listen.
when-
So another thing you guys
Hold
don't
on,
know.
let me finish.
I'm wearing a watch.
I
right
was
now
going to comment on that tag. I know you got all
that
the
your
defense
dad
score.
got us this, and it says D blah 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 blah.
Oh,
so
that's sweet.
yeah,
Thanks
him
to
and
my
Chelios
defenseman.
are the two coolest guys for me in the room all the
yeah.
time. Chelly, I got one. From he was my partner when he went to Norris. I don't know how that happened, but and your dad. So go ahead. What were you saying?
Okay, so
I was trying to throw you some
Reagan,
flowers over here.
has her areas of expertise. I don't get involved in it. Dane has his areas of expertise. I can't talk to the people like Dane does. He's called the whiskey Jesus for a reason.
Well, number one, he looks like Jesus.
Right.
I bring it up all the time. But he does know when you guys do presentations, like you get deep. But
Right.
I believe
nerdy.
that
it can be really nerdy.
But I would think that
But it's awesome.
unlike
Yes,
me,
it's fun.
the people that there are people because I've been to your things, right? I've been the clown act at your things. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. that the people that are
comedic
there
relief.
are glued to what you guys say.
Yeah.
like they're really into
He's
this.
the Pied Piper of the
Exactly.
whiskey,
Yeah.
business, and people just like are in awe when Dane starts talking.
Yeah.
Well, there's so
I don't
much
get
to
involved
learn.
in any of that.
There's so much to learn that the consumers, as consumers, as drinkers, and as clients of our own brands of alcohol, we're not educated enough, and that's part of the issue. And think about it: for the last 100 years, we're drinking alcohol, and I can't tell you how many times I get a question: So what do you buy it? Do you make it? And how do you even make it? And just going back to basic chemistry and toying with fermentable foods and that from a sugar content, like
I don't even know what he's saying.
it's already starting to get so nerdy. But like so many folks don't know the first few steps of how you get alcohol. And
Well, for me, like for you, you're talking about the actual physical making of the alcohol.
Yeah.
What drives me crazy is when we're going places and people are like, well, why can't I buy it here? Like in a state.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, basically
There are
America
rules.
is like 50 little countries.
Yeah,
And
50
every
of
state,
them.
there's different laws. And so like, for example, in Texas, we have to, we sell to a distributor.
Mm-hmm.
Then a distributor in Texas has to sell to liquor stores. Bars and restaurants in Texas can't get it straight from the distributor. They have to buy it from certain liquor stores.
it's part
Is
of the
that
four-tier
why?
system.
Is that why? Like, I will ask for this product when I go into bars.
Mm-hmm.
You guys carry this.
Yeah.
Is that why a lot of bars don't carry it, or what is that?
So-
or is
So
it a
I mean, we're
cost,
newer.
or-
We're newer. So like getting presence in bars and restaurants is always going to be much
Is that a
harder.
goal? Is that a goal, or is
Yeah.
that down the list?
No, that's a goal for sure.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
So
but
every and here's the complicated part within the state of Texas. Luds is every bar and restaurant has their own relationship with a Class B wholesaler, which
Now,
is
what
like,
you know is who you know sometimes.
yeah. So if Al Bernays and Capital Grills and your Bob's Steakhouses and all that stuff, if they got their relationships with Seagulls and Specs, for example, that's who they buy from. Well, we as a distiller, manufacturer, rectifier, we have street heat, or Jake Lazarco, Nick Lazarco, myself, Reagan, and the rest of our team. Everybody tries to go out and make rounds and make the presence and the identity known, and then that's how we gain relationship and knowledge on who they like to do business with. And so it's kind of like a backtracking. We go to the bars, restaurants, find out who they order from, and then we take it up.
But the point is like most consumers don't know that there are that many steps to get on a bar shelf.
Just to have the product
And so, like what you said, like, well, why isn't it here? Like, it's like, well, it takes a lot of work to get it there.
Yeah.
How many states are you in?
17 right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we're a small team.
Between
We're
the 8 of
trying
us, right?
we're trying to keep that at that level, but until we can expand further. But that's the thing is then that's just Texas. That's how Texas does business.
Yeah.
But then California can sell liquor in grocery stores and convenience stores. So it's like you have to learn every single state's liquor laws and how they operate. And
then there's
moving into
control
all of those
states,
states, you have to have a distributor partner in each of those states, and then countries and so on. So you can't just automatically be like, I'm selling my product here.
Yeah.
And so that's what's hard with the consumers. Like, so I run our social media too, and I'm constantly getting people messaging like, come to Canada. And I'm like, we're trying.
So, yeah.
Like, we are trying to, we promise.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so hard to even do like getting business into different places. So
Get that social media out there right now. How do you get online? How do we look to find this?
so Belfour Spirits, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, like everything is Belfour Spirits. But yeah, so we've our belfourspirits.com. But so everything is organic for us right now, and we're growing, and we're a small team, and we're really tenacious.
So where
But-
now?
Perseverance, like Luds
Like you
was
said,
saying.
perseverance.
Do I remember correctly when we first talked about? Because I don't like when your dad and I talked in the beginning. There was a little bar across. I remember asking you that what you guys were going to do, and what happened here is Eddie had called me years ago now and said that he was, hey Luds, we're going to buy. Are you in Little Elm? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I'm going to buy 5 acres over there and he told me what the project was. And immediately I went, oh no. Like, and the first thing I said to him was that, have you ever heard of the phrase putting gas on a fire? And you actually said, what? And I said, well, let's think about it, Ed. You're going to start a whiskey company here or whatever it was at the time. So, and then you were talking about Dane, and I said, has he ever bartended before? Well, no, he drinks a lot. But I'm saying, so anyways, you went over.
become a bartender,
but you went across the street at Tap House.
Yeah,
right?
with Chad Lessard at Towers Tap House up there.
So, so as you guys moved down the lane here, were you originally having your stuff made or barreled or whatever you call it in Colorado or somewhere like that?
So
or where was it?
That was part of the internship that I did at
this
Woody.
baby right here.
Yeah, that one. Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
wanna
Oh,
hold it?
this one. This is the one with the cup.
So
well,
that-
it's not the cup.
That is
we
a
can't say
chalice.
that.
Belfour Chalice.
Belfour Chalice. We can't say that probably because it's legal with the NHL or something like that. But I'm sorry.
Well, it
this is
looks
the Stanley
similar,
Cup.
but it's not.
Similar.
It's not exactly the
The only
same.
thing that's not on there is our names aren't engraved in it, although our names are on the bottles.
Yours is.
I have it on the bottle.
You do?
I do. It's sitting same shelf. It'll never be opened, right? Or would you suggest opening? Because I'll never open it, I don't think.
Well, I mean, some people want to open it so they can taste. That's pretty
Well, if you're
special.
not going to drink the whiskey, you're not a big whiskey drinker. Then...
No, let's not put it that way.
Really?
I've graduated a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have.
I have
Hey,
yes, you have.
I suggest to everyone that they should drink it with their friends and family and best friends and all that stuff. Celebratory times.
Brought to you by Belfour Spirits.
Right.
Okay, wait. As
And then
long as you're doing that.
Then you fill it back up.
I say
with
fill it
with
back
our
up
regular
with
rye
tea.
whiskey. That's all you do.
Oh, I thought that would be.
It
No.
becomes a decanter for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, just to look pretty.
Okay.
It won't taste the same.
This is the one.
That's the 106. Yeah, that's.
This is an award winner,
Double
correct?
They,
gold.
they all are award winners.
Oh, thank you, Reagan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're really good at what we do.
Okay, that's good. But
We're the best.
this flavor, or is that what you call it, flavors? I
It's
just learned.
rye whiskey.
Okay. Who come up with the concoction for this to get it to this point?
So
All of you?
all three
the
of us.
concoction is a mash bill or a
I
recipe.
thought you two were responsible for coming up with
So
this.
we chose the first.
oh,
So
that's the blend
So we
ratio.
chose the 8 barrels that specifically went into that product.
Yes.
Okay.
We did that together.
the first time.
Yeah, and then the second time it was 9 barrels.
This
same
is the
barrel
Fighting
type,
Sioux
but-
bottle. That's
It
what I call
is.
it. This is the North Dakota. This is why I'm wearing the jersey for people that are watching.
Well, because
I
we've got
have
the coin on the top there.
Yeah, show the.
That's the other thing. I want you to
Egyptian
explain
coin.
why that coin is there.
That's from the Ralph. Those coins.
Explain. Do you think
So-
people here know? They think
The Ralph, educating
Come on.
moment. So
Everyone knows who the Ralph is.
So when you guys played for the
what did Ralph own in Vegas? Don't you say anything.
wasn't it a racetrack or something? What did he? I don't know.
He
I
had
don't know.
lots of cars.
He had some. I don't know. I knew he was involved.
He
in
had a
Vegas somewhere.
museum. He had a hotel there. And,
Well, it
and
was the Imperial
casino.
Palace, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that?
I've
Yeah.
never been to Vegas.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So anyway,
But
keep going
anyway,
on with coins.
So
So-
Ralph was a goalie. So those of the people out there that don't know, he was a goalie for the Sioux back in the 40s and 50s.
Big sponsor booster for the program.
Right.
Right.
And
He built the Ralph Engelstad Arena, which is
he left there, went to Vegas, made his fortune
Mm-hmm.
in Vegas, but he's always been a supporter
Yes.
of the Sioux program.
Until
well.
the logo thing came into play.
Well,
Right.
he's still a supporter, and he hired a lot of legal to keep the
Well, it's
logo
still in the
on the
arena.
jersey, and back to the Stanley Cup and the McNaughton Cup and the groundbreaking ceremony that was in '99. Ralph flew in special for that, and he was part of that photo, part of that day, and he spent, I believe, $160 million of his own money to build the new Ralph Engelstad Arena.
Right.
The Sioux head is in granite, engraved everywhere.
Marble, yeah.
All the leather, it's everywhere. It's the most beautiful arena I've ever been in my life. And we have Ralph Engelstad to thank for that. So that coin represents the Ralph Engelstad Arena. When we were there, it was 5 years ago or whatever, I saw those coins in the Sioux shop, and I asked them what they were doing with those. Well, they had used those for their fans to buy merchandise.
They used to use them as currency, like a gift card.
Yeah.
It would be a
Okay.
coin.
I said, what are you guys doing with them, and how many do you have? Well, we have a whole pallet of them, and we're not using them anymore. I'm like, the light
Ding,
bulb went
ding,
on.
ding.
Like, I think that looks like it'll
want
fit.
all of it.
Right. I said,
Yeah, perfectly.
so
fit.
I knew right away what I wanted to do. So that's where the packaging came from. It was a tribute to the Sioux fans, to the coaches, my teammates, everything revolving around, the Ralph Engelstad Arena and the Fighting Sioux. And it was such an awesome project to work on, made me so proud, to give that out to the fans. I mean, I think we sold 110 cases our first time back to North Dakota selling that product.
Is that the product or is that the Ed Belfour name or a combination?
I think it's a combination.
But they came because of you.
Yeah, but
Well, yeah, by UND.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that's what got them hooked. On
and then
this.
it's great juice in there.
Yeah.
It's our 70-20.
Is that what we call it now? Juice?
Oh, it's definitely juice.
Yeah.
It's juice? Okay.
It's our 70-20-10 rye mash bill, which is amazing. It does awesome for us. Doesn't matter what barrel you put it in, it tastes great. And when Dane and Reagan,
I actually wanted more rye. That was Dad wanted.
All of our rye, the mash bill is the same, but different barrel profiles for each one. So it goes to show like the different type of wood selection and barrel profile that you create for each product actually changes the flavor immensely. So 70% rye, 20% corn, 10% malted barley is what goes into our rye products. But then they've each come from different cooperages. Cooperages make barrels for people that don't know. So having wood sourced from Minnesota versus Kentucky versus Missouri, that just it's Mother Nature. You're gonna get different flavor profiles just
all
from
part
the
of the
wood.
variable.
And then you go through the charring process and the toasting process. And so
So-
everything that you do is going to influence the flavor that you get in the juice.
Very well said. Reagan.
So with all of this going on, two things. Is this your pride and joy? I know they're all your pride and joy, but is this the one you look at it that
We
way?
love all of our children equally.
yeah.
Oh,
Nah, that's not true. I'm sorry.
Actually, no, this
No,
one
I'm
is.
kidding.
Is that because of
2 reasons.
behind it or?
Dane there's 12 barrels of that only.
Okay.
12.
and that's what started us.
Dane made that himself. We
In
researched
Colorado,
the
that
mash
was
bill.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Colorado comes in. That's where Dane did his internship at Woody Creek in Basalt, Colorado. And they took him under their wing and taught him
Mark Kleckner.
Everything
and,
about-
Dave Matthews, my distillation mentor.
Dave Matthews?
Not
you guys
the-
got Dave Matthews?
Not-
on?
Wow,
not
I
the
would
rock
lo-
star.
Wow. Dave, I mean,
You guys are
the
big.
Jammer Dave is cool, but this
Yeah.
other Dave Matthews is also a great Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
He's my head distillation mentor, and He's taught me everything I know when it comes to cutting my teeth on distillation.
It was a great relationship because Dane could go to the distillery and learn how to make whiskey during the day, learn operations, and at night he coached hockey. So
Two of some of the greatest
worked
things
out
I could ask
nicely.
for.
Now the second part, obviously, is because of what's on top of there.
Yeah.
So Dane made the first 12 barrels. We dumped 10 of them, which represented about 2,900 of those bottles. That's it. The other 2 barrels are still aging for a special project that I've been working on. So when it becomes 10 years old, we'll do another special.
Is it a personal thing for you?
Yeah. Yeah, because Dane made this. That's
Okay.
why it's so special.
It's what really started us to get into everything else. I think if we had done this and the juice didn't turn out worth the squeeze, we probably would have been pretty turned off within our endeavors, and maybe would have went in a different direction for business. But because
I mean,
we had
you
to,
tasted it even at 6 months, and it already tasted.
it was
good.
already showing magic.
So-
and whiskey
Which
it
is
goes through
rare.
ebb and flows, highs and lows as it ages. Terrible twos, everybody knows it, and it's real. But it's incredible to see the way that what you can do in tandem with Mother Nature, and as you kind of guide throughout time, and you kind of listen, and as you're tasting throughout time, you can see how it's
There should
growing.
be bigger glasses. I can't get my nose even close to this stuff.
Wait, Dane and I have the same
hate
problem.
this shit.
Well, and I got a wee gland over here. Like,
Look at how little this little baby.
That's
See, like,
so.
the beak doesn't go in there.
Yeah,
I know.
so to finish the story,
Yeah.
we
Sorry,
win the
Ed.
Stanley Cup in 1999. A dream come true. You'd won the cup already once. That was my first cup.
Right.
I mean, just amazing time here with the Dallas Stars, and I'll never forget those moments in the locker room. Time together behind
Yeah.
the scenes,
Yeah.
and then our party at Vinny's. I mean, we had a great time together, and that party lasted
Vinny.
for a long time. So I always wanted to
I'm
do
not
something.
even done celebrating the cup from '86. I'm
There-
saving the 99.
There you go.
I'm going to run the gauntlet here.
So I wanted to do something special for our team,
Yeah.
and
Which
putting
guys were blown away.
putting that chalice on top of our bottle.
Well, here, hold it up,
And-
Dad,
Yeah,
so the
Daddy.
people at home can see.
Talk about that beautiful thing, Daddy.
Look at that beauty. So what I did is, each one of my teammates got their name and number put on the chalice, which was
For today,
associ-
can we call it the cup?
Hell yeah,
The cup.
call it the cup.
Okay.
We call it the cup.
associated
You guys want it. You can call it
with
whatever you want.
that number of bottle off of the production line. So,
So
my
you're
produ-
saying Hatch was the first bottle off production line?
Yep.
No, Romy.
No, Roman, Turk.
Was Romy one?
Yeah,
Was he?
yeah.
Well, the way he drank, he deserved to be number one off the line.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
everyone got their associated.
that made
number.
me like so proud to be able to give these bottles
yeah.
to my teammates and
Well, Dad, you didn't
reminisce the stories. And you remember at our launch party, you went over there in the corner and grabbed a couple of these and popped them open. And we started.
Well,
But I
Dad-
didn't know. I
Dad,
didn't know you weren't
didn't you
supposed to do that.
also
all
not
right.
not just your teammates? Didn't you also give it to?
Yeah, the coaches
Coaching, trainers.
and the trainers, everybody involved in the team. Mr. Hicks, of course,
Yeah.
and all the scouts. Now there's a few guys who
Wow,
still
all
haven't.
the scouts also?
Yeah. Now there's a few guys who still haven't gotten their bottles because of the whole border crossing going into Canada.
Well, you can't ship liquor.
Rick, speaking
Well,
of liquor, can
You can't
hand me that
ship liquor
and so
across
it's
borders.
been
There's a
over
term
3
for
years
how to
since
get
I've
that
been
in.
back to Canada.
one? Oh, isn't that funny, Luds?
I know somebody.
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
You know a guy?
I know a few guys. Just FYI, this show, which was a great show, was too big for one episode, so we'll be back next week for episode 2. And if we hang around and drink the rest of this, there'll be an episode 3. That'll be on Cops.